Hello, everyone. Welcome to our today's special webinar. Before we dive into the session, I would quickly like to understand if my voice is audible to you. If I'm audible, please do type a yes in the chat box. Also, talking about the chat box, this is the place where I would request you to post in all your questions that you have for today's session. And I would request you to wait patiently so that our host for today's webinar would address them by end of the session. So also, we have something really exciting for you, and I will be talking about that shortly in the upcoming topics out there. But before we dive into the actual session, I would quickly like to take a tour on a little bit about Galvanize Global Education, who we are, and what exactly we do. So a couple of you might be new to Galvanize, and if you're not aware, so Galvanize Global Education is actually founded and managed by alumni from top universities like Stanford, Harvard, IIT Madras, and IIM Ahmedabad. And not only that, we help students for their test prep journey for SAT, GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, and followed by a team of experts helping students for their bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degree out there. Admission counseling, wherein a lot of factors do happen. For example, selecting the right university based on your interest, your area, location, and many more such factors. We do help for university selection, helping you with documentation process for statement of purpose, letter of recommendations, visa counseling, and many more such activities. And not only that, Galvanize is at your back for your last minute assistance for various other services like helping you connect with the right loan providers, insurance, and many more such activities. Well, 65 plus countries have chosen Galvanize in their journey of higher education, either for test prep or admission counseling. Some students have enrolled for both, and we are happy to share that we have placed our students across 1,000 plus universities across 18 plus countries out there. And I'm pretty sure your dream destination would be on my screen today, and Galvanize would be really glad to help you reach to your dream destination out there. Well, I won't take much of your time here, but I'm very sure a lot of you are quite, active on Quora for various reasons. But these are the links that I would be sharing in my chat box shortly. And I would request you to take a look because this is something what students have shared about their journey with Galvanize, either for the test prep or admission counseling. And Galvanize does has mobile applications for GRE, vocab, and SAT. And as you can see, the app ratings, it's quite famous. And I would also say it's an amazing app, and I would request you to take a look and then decide and start with your mobile applications right away in case you haven't, used our mobile applications. Well, this is something exciting that I was saying that we have for you. Well, today we are going to conduct a quiz by end of the session, and student who wins the quiz will be eligible for a 500 rupees Amazon gift voucher from Galvanize. And not only that, students who would be attending the session today till the end would be eligible for an amazing offer at Galvanize test prep courses out there. So in case you would like to know more about this, stay tuned because we are going to come up with amazing quiz at the end of the session. And also we will be helping you with the voucher for the 10% off that we have for you. Well, here we're going to start with today's session because we have a very special guest today from ETS. So we have with us Dr. Mansoor Agha, who is a GRE master trainee. And to talk about a little bit about him, well, he holds a PhD in learning behavior. He has trained students for TOEFL, GMAT, GRE, IIM, CAT, IAS, campus effectiveness since 1994. As you can see, it's a very long span. And in his teaching span of 26 years, he has been an academic director, he's been an academic head. Well, the list goes on and on and on with an amazing years of experience he has today. And we are really lucky to have him today. And I would say he would be here to guide you with the GRE today. And I would say make the best use of his webinar today by attending the session till the end. And with that, I would request Sir to start with the session.
Good evening, everyone. Just give me a moment so that I can share my screen. Okay. In order to make this whole session more fruitful, there are certain ground rules which, if you follow, you will benefit more. Just take care that you turn silent mode on your phone. Keep a pen and notebook handy so that you can take any important notes if you want to. Whenever I tell you something which you do not know previously, and in situations where whatever I tell you clashes with the information that you already have, I definitely want you to jot down notes about it. And in case you require a clarification, then simply write it down in chat, and I'm going to answer your questions towards the end of the session. In the middle of the session also, I will give you clear opportunities where you can ask me questions which you have accrued till that particular point of time. And during this particular session, feel perfectly free to ask any questions in chat. I'm here to help you. But I want you to ask me questions only in the chat part. We'll just select out questions and then I'll address those questions. Also, although I'm going to show you a certain number of questions, but relax, you're not being tested here. Those questions are basically to give you a sense of this particular examination. This examination of GRE is very different from all the examinations that you have conducted or taken so far. And that should be the real take from this particular session as such. We'll not wait for other people to join in. We'll just start away. In the course of this particular session, you will come across confusions, queries, and the purpose of this particular session is basically to create more and more curiosity on your end so that you have a clear idea about what questions to ask. I want you to jot down my contact details so that during the session, after the session, whenever you have a problem or a confusion, you can always get in touch with me. I'll be available for you. I'm here to help you out. The way the team from Galvanize is going to help you, I will also help you. So I'm accessible to you later on also. At least take down the phone number. This is also my WhatsApp number. Okay. The basic agenda for today is we'll get an idea about the structure of the GRE. We'll try to decode the new shorter GRE edition and understand the difference between the current GRE and the shorter GRE as such. We'll do a discussion on removal of certain sections and questions which have made the present GRE a shorter edition as such. We'll also look at the pros and cons of taking the shorter edition. There are lots of pros in case of the present shorter edition of GRE. There is only one con. I'm going to discuss that con also. We'll also look at how you should holistically prepare for this test. And then there would be a live question and answer session with people from ETS and from Galvanize. And whatever queries you have, we try to address all of them. So if I do a quick general introduction about the GRE, GRE is a test taken by graduate students who want to take admission into a postgraduate program in the US. It could be an MBA. You can also go in for joining a PhD program. The various countries which accept the GRE are USA, Canada, Europe, Singapore, Australia, and many other countries. Moreover, the GRE is also accepted as a requirement for MBA programs in case of global business schools or the most prestigious of business schools. If a business school is not a prestigious one, it does not require any test at all. You just fill up their fees, fill up their form, and they'll give you admission. But for the prestigious programs, you would normally have to go in for taking a GMAT or a GRE in order to be accepted. GRE is also accepted for MS management programs, and it is also accepted as a replacement for the LSAT examination when you go in for a Juris Doctorate degree or a law degree in the US and many other countries as such. So, although GRE was basically targeted towards a requirement for admissions into masters and PhD programs, primarily in the US, but there are other countries who have started accepting it. And it is not only the normal master's program, but even MBA programs in business schools, MS programs in management, and law programs are also accepting the GRE. Let's understand why this happens. GRE attracts a different profile of a student, and whether it is business schools or law colleges, all of them prefer to have a lot of diversity within their batches. So GRE provides them with that kind of a diversity. So although primarily a GMAT may be required for an MBA or a JD law program, but and although less number of students actually take the GRE route when they go for joining a law program, but their chances of getting selected are on the higher side as compared to the standardized examination which has been made for these courses. Now, GRE started out in 1949, and it has been created and administered by the ETS or Education Testing Services, and is offered as a computer-based exam administered at various kinds of prometric testing centers and other centers. Even before we proceed ahead with what the GRE really tests you for, always understand that the importance of these scores depend upon how many applications does a university get. So if I look at a university or a particular program where more number of applicants apply, then the easiest way for that particular university to weed out students so that they can spend a limited amount of time which they have upon applicants and finally select them is to look at certain numerical parameters. And those numerical parameters are your grade point average in your undergraduate program and the scores which you receive in case of GRE. So GRE has a much greater importance in case of all of those programs which are more sought after and the premier programs. On the other hand, if you look at those programs where less number of applicants apply, here the admission committees have a lot of time on their hands because they receive less number of applications, as a result of which their importance of personals goes in for increasing. When you talk about personals, then this includes your work experience, your extracurricular activities, what kind of a person you are, the whole of your application, not the scores which you received in your undergraduate program and the GRE. So although these are still important, but relatively they become less important in case of an unimportant program. And an unimportant program would always attract less number of applicants also. You would obviously like to go in for joining a program which is a more sought after program. And remember, in a more sought after good program, which has a great return on investment, GRE will always have a much greater importance as such. So what does a GRE measure? Technically, the GRE, in case of the quantitative section or the quantitative reasoning section, goes in for testing your basic mathematical skills, understanding of elementary concepts of mathematics, your ability to reason in a quantitative manner, your ability to play around with numbers, and your aptitude to solve quantitative problems, and your ability to interpret graphic data, which is provided on your screen. On the other hand, in case of the verbal reasoning section, here your ability to understand and evaluate whatever is written on the screen and to recognize basic conventions of standard written English, they get tested. In case of the analytical writing section, here your ability to think in a very critical manner and to communicate complex ideas through writing is tested. So these are the broad official things which get tested in case of GRE, although we are going to go and dive deeper to understand what do these sections really test and how do they test those things. But remember, if you already know what a particular test can have and you work upon that area, then that test is actually measuring how properly have you prepared for that test. The test really measures how good a test taker you are. So you may be somebody who is weak at basic mathematical skills, or you're weak at understanding of elementary concepts of mathematics, or you may be weak at ability to reason quantitatively, and you may not have an aptitude to solve quantitative problems. But suppose you practice and you understand what is being tested and what kind of answers are expected out of you, then just because of your ability to become a good test taker, you end up getting a good score, which means this is a test in which you can improve your scores by your sheer hard work and the right guidance as such. So, what does the GRE really test? GRE is not a test of your mathematics or your English language skills. It is an aptitude test for postgraduate admissions. And aptitude tests are always a modified IQ test to check whether you as a candidate have the desired potential and attitude for pursuing a certain academic course. Do you have the raw material inside you or not? Do you have the certain amount of intelligence and certain extra skills which are required for you to excel in a particular academic course? That is being tested. So when we're talking about an IQ test, then we're definitely talking about the sharpness of your brain. That is being tested, not mathematics and English as such. People over-focus upon the domain subject part of the GRE. Instead, they should be looking at what is really getting tested and why are they getting their questions wrong. That helps them improve on this particular test to a greater extent. So what does IQ or intelligence depend upon? When I say that GRE is a modified IQ test, what does IQ really depend upon? Always remember, your intelligence presently depends upon the kind of genes that you got from your parents. If your parents are intelligent, you will definitely be intelligent. You would have been born intelligent. But the intelligence that you get from your parents, it plays a very small role in your whole personality as such. Most of the intelligence that you presently have, it has developed because of your using your brain. When you use your brain more, your brain becomes a well-oiled machine, and automatically it ends up working better. And that is something which is reflected in the form of intelligence. So the more you have used your brain, the more intelligent you would automatically be. Apart from this, people who have to go in for using their brains more, something called as an enabling environment. If you've been born in this and you've gone through an enabling environment, then automatically this would result in you forcibly using your brain more, as a result of which you would be even more intelligent as such. Plus, nutrition has a small role to play here. If you eat balanced diets, then automatically you would not have any deficiencies inside your body. A healthy body houses a healthy brain, as a result of which you end up getting a higher intelligence if you have been eating your food in a proper manner. So far, just a small deficiency of one particular mineral, iodine, results in people becoming less intelligent. So have balanced diets. That's also a part of it. So what does IQ test really measure? Let's understand. First thing which an IQ test measures is language skills. So how important are language skills, and why are language skills really tested? Why are there questions based upon English language as such? Immediately after your birth, the first reason because of which you have to use your brain to make it more, and it results in making you more intelligent, is that you take the target of learning languages. So you see a lot of people around you speaking something and you hear some sounds, you initially imitate the same sounds, replicate them, and later on you start understanding the meaning of those words. Then you start making sentences, you start developing a sense of grammar, and in the process you learn language and you start learning how to communicate in that language, and then you go to school and you even start writing it and reading it. So in the process of learning a language, your brain has to work very hard, because your brain has to work very hard to learn language. So easy way to find somebody's intelligence is to simply give that person a few questions based upon language. If that person can go in for answering those questions, it means that person is definitely intelligent. This is the reason why a certain number of questions which look like language questions appear upon this particular test. So English is a major component. A second reason why people have to go in for using their brain forcibly and they cannot run away from it is mathematics. Mathematics, which appears as an innocuous, harmless kind of a subject initially, where you just have to mug up numbers in a sequence, later on becomes nastier when you have to learn addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Things get even more grim as you move on ahead. Somewhere around the 5th standard, the level of mathematics becomes terribly high, and there's a quantum jump in the difficulty level, as a result of which a lot of students start struggling with mathematics in class 5th, and you are given extra targets to work harder and spend more time on mathematics in order to get good marks in case of this particular subject. This continues. Some people get labeled as people whose brain doesn't work in mathematics. Other people are considered to be good at mathematics, and being good at mathematics is something which shows that yes, you are intelligent possibly for the rest of the normal people as well. So mathematical proficiency is tested on the GRE as an examination, because your ability to answer mathematics questions is a reflection of how intelligent you are. Moreover, understand very clearly that although questions look like language questions and mathematical questions, although GRE has a section called as quantitative reasoning, another section called as verbal reasoning, but in the end, all of it is reasoning. So the most frequently tested area on the GRE is your ability to reason out. And English and mathematics are the language in which their reasoning ability is really tested. So reasoning is something which all of you already know. If you are the kind of person who would possibly drink water when you're thirsty, if you are the kind of person who would possibly think about eating food when you feel hungry, if you are the kind of person who looks on both sides of the roads before you cross it, then you already have ability to reason out properly. If you are sitting here in front of me thinking about doing a master's program in the US, that means you've reasoned out that this is something which is going to be very fruitful. So reasoning ability is already something which you have, but what you really require is you need to check what kind of questions are used to check your reasoning ability. In some of those questions, you will realize that even if you've never seen those questions before, you have a knack for those questions, and you can get all of those questions 100% correct, always, all the time. Maybe you're even better than your teachers in those questions. And there will be some questions in which you will be mediocre, some questions on which you will possibly suck. And you need to improve yourself on questions where you end up making mistakes, or questions which you cannot crack. So language skills, mathematical proficiency, and reasoning ability get tested in case of this examination. But there are also a certain number of questions which are called as questions which test you for your hallmarks of intelligence. So what are hallmarks of intelligence? You and I, normal people, We have an IQ in the range of 80 to 100, and we survive and excel based upon that IQ. But people who are very intelligent, people who got an IQ level above 150 or 160, they, because they're very intelligent, they would think very differently as compared to us. And when you give them a question, they would possibly crack it in a different manner. Maybe they would get attracted towards a different kind of an answer as compared to the way we would possibly approach a certain question's answer choices. So there are certain things which check whether you behave like a very intelligent person or not. Now, I do not know whether you are a very intelligent person or not, but if you can identify those things and you apply them on questions, then you will get even those questions right where your reasoning ability doesn't work. Those are called as hallmarks of intelligence. Apart from these four areas, GRE also needs to test you upon your critical thinking and argumentation skills, your writing skills, your ability to comprehend difficult instructions, because these three abilities are required to handle an academic program in the US or in the West as such. So broadly, 7 areas get tested in case of the GRE. If you look at this examination, previously it was a 3-hour, 45-minute long examination. Now it's become a 1-hour, 58-minute examination, which means you can finish off the GRE in 1 hour, 58 minutes in a justifiable manner. There used to be a 10-minute break after the third section. Now those breaks are not there. They're really not required because it's a very short examination now. Except for the essay, the rest of the examination is objective in nature, having multiple choice questions. It is only the essay which is subjective in nature, and you've got to type out a long answer out here. This examination used to be divided into 6 sections. There were 2 sections of analytical writing assessment. Previously, AWA or analytical writing assessment, where you type in 2 essays, were having 2 assignments. Now, there is only a single issue essay which comes. The argument essay has been eliminated from the examination. There were 2 verbal reasoning sections previously. There are 2 verbal sections now also. Quantitative reasoning sections were 2 in number previously, and they're still 2 in number now. There used to be things such as experimental section, which could be a verbal reasoning section or a quantitative reasoning section, and there could even be a research section. Now, all of these experimental questions, which did not translate into marks, have been removed. So, duplication, which was there in case of this particular test, has been removed. Things for which you were not getting marks, they have been removed. As a result, instead of a 3-hour, 45-minute examination, now we have a 1-hour, 58-minute examination. It's a shorter examination, more effective examination. It tests you on the same skills. It tests you on the same kind of questions. The only thing which is different now is one AWA assignment has been removed and duplicate questions have been removed. And all that experimental questions have been removed, which did not affect your scores as such. So this used to be the general structure of the GRE previously. Now, if you look at the structure of the GRE, then it looks like this. There is an AWA section or analytical ability section, which has one section, one essay task, which is an issue essay. And the estimated time for this particular section is 30 minutes. Then the quantitative reasoning section has 2 sections, which have a total of 27 questions, and you end up getting 47 minutes here. Then there's a verbal reasoning section, which has got again 2 sections, and their total of 27 questions here, 41 minutes. So in all, this test gets over in 1 hour, 58 minutes. After 1 hour, 58 minutes, you will have your result in front of you on the screen. So if you look at what we're targeting, I always believe that you need to be clear about the prize when you are taking up a journey. This is the kind of a prize that we are looking for you. This is the kind of prize that you should be looking for yourself. A score where you end up getting a 99 percentile and your scale scores are in the range of 170 with say a 6 on your AWA. This is the highest score which is possible actually. This is one of my students. Take this target. This is what we also want you to do. Okay. So GRE broadly tests you for 3 subjects in 5 sections. The first section and the first subject being tested is analytical writing assessment. So I'll go into details of that. The AWA section, analytical writing section, is a section which has a time duration of 30 minutes. You get a score in the range of 0 to a 6 in 0.5 increments, which means your scores can be 6, 5.5, or a 5, or a 4.5, etc. Here you've got to type in an essay in 30 minutes, and the essay's topic is called as Analyze and Issue Task. Here, this AWA section goes in for assessing your ability to construct arguments. You need to be clear about what an argument is. Argument has a viewpoint and it has reasons governing that viewpoint, supporting that viewpoint. You need to be good at articulating and supporting complex ideas. You need to be good at sustaining a focused and a coherent discussion in a written format. This AWA or analytical writing assessment or the essay does not assess your specific content knowledge. You do not require any domain knowledge, any subject's knowledge as such. In case of AWA, the writing of the essay has to be done by typing it out in a simplified word processor, which I'm going to show to you. It does not have a lot of functions, a very simplified one. It only has insert, delete, cut, paste, undo functions. And things which are present in a Microsoft Word that you're addicted to, things like spell checker and grammar checker are not present in case of the interface that you're going to work upon. You can practice writing essays using the word processor component of PowerPrep test preview tool and the GRE PowerPrep software, which is available at our website, gre.org. Scoring of the essays is done by a human being. So there will be a human being who's going to give you a score by checking your essay. And there will be a software program, an artificial intelligence enabled program, which is called as the eData, which will give you a score. These two scores are factored in order to give you a final score. And you have to take care that you should ensure a 4.5 on your AWA in order to be safe. If your score is below 4.5, there are certain programs, certain competitive programs, which will not entertain you. So getting a 4.5 just requires a certain bit of practice and improvement. You'll have to work upon that part. So I'll give you an example of what kind of a question really comes. I want you to read through whatever is written here on the screen. These are the instructions. There's nothing like a correct answer or an incorrect answer. You can have any viewpoint depending upon whatever you think is right and whatever perspective you can support by giving good examples. Okay. So this is what your screen is going to look like. Here, the topic which is given is, as people rely more and more on technology to solve problems, the ability of humans to think for themselves will surely deteriorate. Based upon this particular topic, you have to type down your answer here. You will get 30 minutes to plan, compose, and type out your answer. You have to discuss the extent to which you agree with this or disagree with this particular topic here. And then you've got to support that viewpoint of yours with examples and reasoning as such. You can see that there will be a timer here. You can even hide this time in case it bugs you and gives you tension as such. You have to take care that you break the 450 word barrier in the essay. Remember that. Longer essays tend to give you more marks. Plus, if your essay is too small, you'll not be able to do justice to the topic of the essay as such. A 5-paragraph essay structure works best. You need to learn critical reasoning argumentation skills to write a technically correct argument essay. And you should do a lot of practice using the word processor component, which is present on our website. That would be the right place for you to get a simulated practice as such. And there's a huge pool of issue and argument essay topic, which you can download from gre.org. The argument essay topics are not relevant now. The issue essay topics you can definitely pick up. The second section is the verbal reasoning section, or the English section as we call it in layman's language. The English section has 2 sections with 27 questions in total, time 41 minutes. So if I look at it, based upon your performance in case of the verbal reasoning section, you end up getting a score in the range of 130 to 170, which means 130 is the lowest score that you can end up getting, and 170 is the highest score, which is a 99th percentile. Previously, each verbal reasoning section had reading comprehension questions, text completion questions, and sentence equivalence questions. The same ratio of questions is maintained even now, a 5:3:2 ratio, and the time given to you is 41 minutes. This verbal reasoning section analyzes your ability to draw conclusions from a discourse, from a discussion, reason out from incomplete data, identify the author's assumptions and his or her viewpoint, perspective as we call it, understand multiple levels of meaning such as the literal meaning, figurative meaning, and the author's intent. You need to be good at that. You need to select important points, distinguish major from minor or irrelevant points. You need to be good at summarizing text. You need to be good at paraphrasing text. You need to understand the structure of a text, what happens in the beginning of the passage, what happens in the middle or towards the end. You need to be good at understanding meaning of words, sentences, entire texts, understand relationships among words and among concepts which are written across a passage to be good at this particular area. Verbal reasoning section, it measures your ability to understand whatever you read and how you can apply your reasoning skills in case of that verbal written material. So if I took a look at the basic areas being tested are reading comprehension. Here you have to answer questions based on a passage. All questions can be answered from information given in the passage. You don't need background knowledge. Subject areas could be as diverse as social sciences, history, political, physical sciences, business related areas as such. And all reading comprehension passages will be accompanied by questions which will be interpretative, applied, and inference questions. This section measures your ability to understand words and statements in reading passages. You need to understand the logical relationships between significant points and concepts in reading passages. You need to be good at drawing inferences and from facts and statements in the reading passage. And you should understand and follow the development of quantitative concepts, mathematical concepts as they're presented in English language. That is a problem for a lot of students. Normally, even students who know mathematics, when they are doing a question of English, they normally switch off their part of the brain which knows maths, which is not the right idea. You have to understand the author's point of view and their proposed arguments in case of reading comprehension. So you can have questions which are multiple choice questions where you have to select one answer choice to get your score, or you may have multiple choice questions where you may have to pick up more than one answer also. There may be questions where you got to click upon a particular part of the passage and you got to drag that answer. This is the reason why taking a certain number of simulated GRE exams is required before you take the actual examination. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand the dynamics of this test, and things may come as a surprise even though they may be easy things. So take a certain number of mock tests, only then take your actual GRE as such. The directions remain the same. In case of reading comprehension, it basically says find the best answer, and the answer has to be based upon whatever the passage states or implies. So in the end, the question looks somewhat like this. Passage followed by a question stem and then the 5 answer choices. And on screen, this would look in this manner, because there will be other buttons also on the screen. There will be buttons which say quit test, exit section, review a particular question, mark a particular question, help, back, next, high time. In case you click upon this, then this button becomes show time, etc. There'll be a timer which will be available here. It will tell which number of questions you're actually attempting, etc. And you just have to click upon the right oval on the screen in order to mark your answer. You got to click upon your choice. So in case of reading comprehension, remember, you should not extrapolate the passage information. Your answer has to match the information given in the passage. And for every specific question, go back to the passage and find the answer. For every general question, get a holistic idea about the whole passage, only then look for an answer. And for every perception question, you have got to read bigger chunks of the passage and understand them, only then you can possibly end up getting your answers. Perception questions create a lot of problems. They may ask you things such as, with which one of the following will the author agree? Then you'll have to read the whole passage to understand what is the viewpoint of the author. Only then you can pick up an answer. Second type of questions are called as text completions. In simple layman's language, I can call them fill in the blank questions. You get a passage composed of 1 to 5 sentences with 1 to 3 blanks. And there are 3 answer choices per blank, 5 answer choices in case of a single blank. So what you need to do is you need to select, according to the requirement, 1 answer choice for 1 blank, okay. So let's straight away go to the kind of question which comes, which will give us a better idea. In case of 1 blank question, you got to pick 1 answer out of these 6 choices, which will make this sentence commonsensically correct. The answer choice which you are clicking upon, it should make this whole sentence perfect. But these questions can also look like this. They may have more than 1 blank also. Remember, if there are more than 1 blank, then you get 2 chances to do the process of elimination, which makes the question easier. It doesn't make it more complicated or difficult. There may be 3 blanks also. So in case of text completion questions, remember, skilled readers do not simply absorb the information presented on the page. Instead, they maintain a constant attitude of interpreting whatever they are reading, and they keep on evaluating. They do a lot of reasoning from what they have read so far in order to create a picture of the whole thing, and they revise that picture as they read, and they start clicking upon answers as such. In order to excel at text completion, you need to be somebody who's an active reader. You need to know what clues and triggers are in a sentence. You need to have an idea about the direction that the sentence is taking. Is it taking a U-turn or is it going in the same direction? You need to keep an eye upon the tone of the author, and the right answer should match the tone of the author. Third kind of questions out here are sentence equivalence questions. These questions look similar to text completion questions. They look like a fill in the blank question, but they're not fill in the blank questions. Remember that. Out here, you get a question with a single sentence containing one blank, and you get 6 answer choices. And out here, you have to select 2 answer choices. In case you get partial correct answers, you don't get any marks for that. You need to get both the answers correct in case of these questions. This means the 2 correct answers will be synonymous, but there are times when the 2 answer choices which are correct for a particular question, they may not be synonymous. That is where the complication comes in. So you need a little bit of practice. So let's see. This is what this question looks like. So here you've got a total of 6 answer choices. Out of these 6 answer choices, you've got to pick up 2 answer choices which can be placed inside this blank. And because of those answer choices, the meaning of the sentence remains the same. And those 2 sentences which you will end up getting by putting in those 2 choices will have the same meaning. Understand this. You have to pick up answer choices which fit the meaning of the sentence as a whole and produce completed sentences that are perfectly alike, similar in meaning. The 2 sentences should be similar in meaning. And out here, you've got to click upon the answer choice, 2 choices. So you may have answer choices which look like original and innovative, worsened and increased. Both of them show some increase. You need to be good at contextual vocabulary. You need to understand what synonyms are synonymous expression of sentence sense by using different choice of words is what is being tested out here. For sentence equivalence, you need to improve your vocabulary. You need to look at the sentences in a more holistic manner to check whether the 2 answer choices or 2 answers which you're picking up, do they give the same sense to the sentence? Always look for synonyms, but if in case you cannot find synonyms among the answer choices, then you need to look at definitions of every word, and then the correct answer can be non-synonymous also. So in case of a difficult question, that really happens. If you do not know a few of the words, do not pick 2 words just because they create synonymous looking sentences as such. Choose a word you do not know and match it with one of the answer choices that works. The third area being tested out here, which again has 2 sections inside it, is quantitative reasoning. We're drawing towards the last part of this masterclass. In case of quantitative reasoning, there are 2 sections, a total of 27 questions in these 2 sections, and you get a slightly greater amount of time, which is 47 minutes. You get a score in the range of 130 to 170. Previously, this section had 2 sections of 35 minutes each. Now, the 2 quantitative reasoning sections, they have a total of 27 questions. The same 9:8 to 3 ratio is maintained between problem-solving, quantitative comparisons, and data interpretation questions. The total time is 47 minutes now, not 70 minutes like it was previously. This area of quant does not check your mathematical skills. Understand that. It checks whether you can reason in a quantitative manner. It checks whether you can solve quantitative problems. It checks whether you can look at a graph and interpret that graph without even calculating the things. It checks whether you can analyze and use information given in a problem, see what is given in the problem and what information is required, calculate that information, take your answer. That's what is needed. There's an on-screen calculator which is provided during the quantitative reasoning section out here. This is what the calculator looks like. It's a pretty basic calculator, the kind of calculator that you're all very comfortable with. You can move this calculator on the screen while you're trying to calculate your answer. Problem-solving questions are based on arithmetic, algebra, geometry, data interpretation. There isn't any trigonometry or calculus. Problem-solving questions are designed to test your ability to reason in a quantitative manner and solve quantitative problems. In these questions, you will be asked to select one answer, one or more answers, or you will be asked to make a numeric entry, which means you have to type down your answer on the keyboard as such. You have questions which are MCQ questions where you've got to pick up one answer. You may have MCQ questions where you have to select one or more than one answer. You may have questions of numeric entry type. So this is what a problem-solving question looks like. There's a calculator on your right side. You can drag it around while you're solving it. Remember that the figures are not drawn to scale, and if you redraw them yourself, maybe you'll end up getting a higher accuracy. There are 5 choices. You've got to tick upon the answer which is correct. Now, this is the important part of the whole session. Your problem-solving questions check you for certain skills openly, overtly, clearly. Those skills are your knowledge of basic mathematical concepts and formulas, ability to apply mathematical concepts and formulas to solve problems, calculate accurately, solving fast. This is something which we all know. And this is what we are all good at. But remember, there's certain hidden skills which are also being tested, covert skills, I would call them. These covert skills are ability to understand the question, attempted by a method which takes less amount of time and calculations and still ensures accuracy. This method is called as a strategy for that question type. You need to be somebody who's done so much of mathematical calculations and solving of questions that you have a sense of mathematics. You have to understand what is given in the question, what the question is asking for, whether you've got to take a decision about, do I need to calculate in this question, or can I do this question without actually doing a calculation? This is a crucial decision which you need to take. So there's a 4-step procedure for solving a problem-solving question. You read the question carefully to understand the problem. You decide on a strategy or a method which takes less time and ensures higher accuracy for solving the problem. You decide whether you need a calculator, and you crack that question, and then you check your answer also in order to maintain higher accuracy. Second kind of questions are quantitative comparison questions. Here you are given two quantities, and you've got to tell whether the first quantity is greater, the second one is greater, are the two quantities equal, or whether the information given in the question is not enough, and you simply cannot determine the relationship between the two quantities as such. So let's see what this question really looks like. I want you to spend 20 seconds upon this. There's a figure which is given here, and they're asking whether twice the area of triangle ABC is greater or is equal or is less than the area of triangle DBC. And is the information given here enough for you to really mark ABC as the answer? Okay, let's move on ahead. To become good at quantitative comparison, you need to become familiar with the 4 standard answer choices. What are those 4 standard answer choices? A, quantity A is greater, B, quantity B is greater, the two quantities are equal, and the data is insufficient. Then you need to avoid unnecessary computations, because that is going to eat up your time and your brain and will tire you out, and maybe you'll get lost in doing the question. Geometric figures are not necessarily drawn to scale unless and until it is mentioned, so you will have to redraw them once in a while in order to get a higher accuracy. Redraw geometric figures always, rather. Plug in the numbers. Instead of resorting to calculation every time, try substituting values and possibly see whether it works for you to get the answer. Simplify the comparison in order to find a long mathematical method in order to crack the question. Then comes data interpretation questions. Data interpretation questions have tabulated information. There will be tables, bar graphs, circle graphs, other kind of graphical displays of data. And this section tests you for your ability to extract correct data from tables, graphs, and charts, and ability to manipulate data, understand the development of quantitative concepts as they're presented in a graphical format. So this is what a question would look like. Spend 20 seconds upon this to get an idea. There's data given on top, a question asked here, and the 5 answer choices are there. You have the access of a calculator with you. And remember, the trick is try not to calculate. Okay. In case of data interpretation questions, remember, scan the data, but do not study it in detail. Read or estimate data visually from bar graphs and circle graphs. Only use the data which is given there. Don't use any information which you already have in your head. You can use everyday facts such as number of days in a year. You can refer to the fact that yes, 1 hour has got 60 minutes. Even if it is not written, you can use that information. You can use your formulas. You can use your knowledge of mathematics. And that's the end of the presentation. Ramya, the screen is all yours. The stage is set for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You should be waiting now for the quiz.
Yes, exactly. And I would also like to give you a short break so that you've been, helping students, guiding for a very long time. And till the time, students keep posting their questions, I would quickly like to talk a little bit about Galvanize here. And followed by that, we will be having the quiz. And post which we will open the Q&A session. And once the Q&A is done, we will announce the winner for the quiz as well. So students just quickly, start posting your questions so that sir can take a look at it and he can, start answering them shortly. And with that, I would like to talk a little bit about Galvanize. As I initially mentioned, we do have test prep mobile applications, but yes, of course, we have a complete course for GRE, IELTS, TOEFL, SAT as well, based on your requirements. So we have a crash program, we have a 3 months course, 6 months, and 1 year based on your I would say interest, because we have students who are there in their first year and they would like to start with their preparations, go for the 1 year course. In case you are in your second year or third year, go for the 6 months course. And if you're in your final year, probably a 3 months course, or a 45 days plan. Generally, students who would like to take improve their score. So we have courses for that as well. And not only that, we have our admission counseling, wherein we help students for their complete admission process out there. And little bit perks and advantages of being with Galvanize. Number one is a personalized study plan, where you get a personalized plan based on a couple of factors, such as your target score, the number of days you have in your hand, and how well you have performed in your diagnostic test before starting your journey. And considering all these factors, you get a personalized plan, you get unlimited Ask an Expert for all your content related queries, you get feedback as well for your mock test that you would be writing, and extensive practice questions throughout the course is what you will be getting. And most important, you will have the updated test pattern at Galvanize, and at a most affordable rate, with a complete guidance by an expert out there. And in case you would like to know more about how to avail, how to know how Galvanize can help you, or you would like to get in touch with our experts out there, please fill in the profile evaluation form, wherein we will come to know at what level you are currently, based on which our experts would guide you. What are the steps that you need to take to improve your profile with respect to maybe taking a GRE test as early as possible, or IELTS or TOEFL test out there, or what are the shortcomings that are there, so that we can help you with the shortcomings and get you a better profile to your dream university out there. I will be sharing the link in the chat box. So do fill in the profile evaluation. It's a part of the course, but we are giving as a free profile for evaluation for our students out there. And with that, I would like to quickly run the quiz here, post which the forum would be open for the Q&A session out there. So guys, be ready. I'm going to start with the quiz right now. So here we go. Quickly feed in your answers, post which we will be having a Q&A session, and we will be announcing the winner as well. So please start answering the quiz questions out here. Great. We see answers coming in. We have last couple of seconds out there. Quickly fill in your posts, so that we also have a winner. We also come to know at what level we are with respect to the complete GRE pattern out there. Also stay tuned for the Q&A session, wherein our sir would address them shortly. We have last 1 minute for the quiz. Do feed in your answers, as we are getting a lot of responses. This is really amazing, guys. So yeah. So with that, we are ending the quiz. Thank you, students, for participating in the quiz. And now we are open to the Q&A session. And by end of the session, we will be announcing the winner as well. Great. So, sir, would you like to pick up the questions or?
Yeah,
Okay,
there's some
great.
very relevant questions which, because of paucity of time, I did not preempt and I would have gone for that explanation. If you look at scoring in case of GRE, GRE is a multiple stage test, an MST as we call it. In case of all MSTs, you normally get two sections. The first section is a section which contains easy, medium, and difficult questions, which means the different levels of difficulty are 1 to 5. You get questions of different difficulty levels in case of the first section. Depending upon your performance in the first section, the next section will be generated or created for you specially. Suppose your performance in the first section was excellent. In that situation, you will see a second section which will have very difficult questions, as a result of which, and your score finally will be on the highest of percentiles as such. So you will be getting difficult questions, and when you attempt them correctly, you have a chance of getting the highest possible scores, or a score which is just below the highest possible score. On the other hand, if your performance in the first section is mediocre, then you're going to see mediocre questions in the second section. And now you only have a limited range in which you can get your score. You cannot get the top highest scores possible if you have your performance in the first section is a mediocre one. The third situation could be that a student goes in for performing badly in the first section. If a student performs badly in the first section, then that student is put into that basket which has students who are weaker. Automatically, such a student is going to see easier questions in the second section. And now they cannot get a mediocre score. They cannot get the highest possible score. The scores will remain in a lower range. There are some misconceptions about the MST. One misconception which a lot of students have is, suppose I perform poorly in the first section, forcibly, we take a decision that I'll make a lot of mistakes in the first section, then I'm going to see easier questions, as a result of which I'll get most of them correct. So I will end up with a high score. No, if you perform miserably in the first section, then you're going to definitely see easy questions, I agree. But easy questions translate into lower scores. So I can put students into 3 different baskets after the performance of the first section has been done. And students who perform excellently in the first section, they go into the highest basket of scores. And while doing the second section, if they get most of the questions correct, then yes, they climb up in that basket, in the top ranks of that particular basket. So please take care that you perform to your level best potential in the first section, based upon which you're going to see a second section. And in the second section also, you try your level best to get most of the questions correct. That will ensure the highest possible score for you. So it is the multiple stage test. And you should perform excellently in the first as well as the second section. There is no relationship between the quantitative section and the verbal section. Suppose you perform excellently in one subject, it does not have an effect upon the second section. There's a question about how many questions of which topics come on the quant section or the reasoning on the verbal reasoning section. This whole session is being recorded. It is available on YouTube. I want you to review this particular session. And I've already covered this particular information. I also want you to like the video so that more students will get access to this particular video, and they'll get benefited in the whole process. You can even ask that specific question in case you cannot get an answer to your question on YouTube itself, and we'll answer that question for you. I've already answered this question, don't worry. I want fresh new questions. So let me check if there's something new which has come up. Rinki Pawar has asked, does shortening of the exam also result in changes in marking? No. Shortening of the test does not have an effect upon the marking in case of the exam, and marking of the examination remains the same. The only change which has really happened is that those questions which were not giving you marks, experimental questions, they have been removed. Second thing is, the same kind of questions used to appear again and again in the examination. That duplication of questions has vanished off. So you're going to see only one question of a certain type on your examination. You will not see duplication of a certain question. So marking remains exactly the same. Then there's another question about Neeraj Pandit has asked, would it be possible to have 3 to 4 paragraphs for the essay section, and what would be the basic structural flow of the essay? So let's talk about it. Your essay section tests you for two things: your ability to write in English and express yourself in English in a right manner. And a second ability which is tested is, do you have the ability to be argumentative or not? Can you support your viewpoints or not by giving the right examination? Something which is called as argumentation skills. It is also called as critical reasoning skills. It is part of the tested portion of GMAT as well. It appears in other exams such as IMCAT also. So critical reasoning skills is something which you need to know. Based upon that, the structuring of your essay has to be done. Remember, anyone who's comfortable with the language will always have a tendency to write more and speak more. So shorter essays have two problems. One problem is a shorter essay does not do justice to the question which has been asked. So you need more words to do justice to the particular topic, and that translates into a better score. Plus, human beings always have a tendency to give a higher score to longer answers. We have a particular figure. I would say that figure not as a person from ETS, I would say that figure as a teacher for all of these years. A 450 plus number of words in your essay ensures that you get the highest scores. But if a student has written less than 450 words, I've experimented on that, they can never get a perfect score. So for perfect scores, you need to cross the 450 barrier. And you also have to take care that you cross the 4.5 barrier also in terms of your score. Your score has to be 4.5 or above. Then till 4.5, it is a hygiene factor. But if your score on AWA is below 4.5, then there may be some admission committees which will have a problem with you, with your candidature. Is analyzing an issue task question similar to IELTS writing task 2 question? Yes, I would say that, but then GRE expects a much higher standard than what the IELTS expects out of you. And you need to look at sample essays written by other students who got a score of perfect 6, or those who got a score of 5 or a 4 or a 3 or a 2, to understand what kind of essays really end up getting a higher score. It is not as simple as that. Then there's a question by another student who, and this is a very relevant question, says how to ace verbal section for a non-native English speaker. If your mother tongue is not English, then the most important thing for you is that you do not have the kind of exposure of English language which possibly a native speaker has. So you need to compensate for it. You need to compensate for it by speaking in English more, by talking to people in English more and getting more comfortable, by improving your vocabulary, by doing a lot of reading a lot of articles, newspapers, the right kind of fiction and non-fiction books. And that would give you a greater amount of experience and exposure of English language. I also want you to see a certain number of movies with closed captions in case you are struggling with English language. And watching movies on Netflix or say a Prime Video, etc., with closed captions will automatically give you a greater comfort with English language. I want you to increase your exposure of English language by building your vocabulary, one, by doing a lot of reading. And it is not only the amount of reading that you do, but you also need to take care that you read different subjects. Do not only read material which comes from your own subject background, because you'll be more comfortable with it. In the examination, the passages can come from any area. A sentence completion question can come from any area or any subject. That's the reason why you need to have a general sense of various subjects also. So people who are non-native speakers of English, they need to do a certain bit of fundamental groundwork even before they actually start preparing for the GRE. There are questions about breakup of various sections. I've already covered that. GRE exam price and other options to study abroad without GRE. Ramya, I would like you or Shruti to answer this question.
Sure.
Shruti?
Yeah, Shruti, would you like to answer the question?
Hello.
Yeah, Shruti.
Yeah, I'm audible, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
audible.
audible.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Can I know what was the question, Ramya? I'm just searching in the
With
chat.
respect to, in case we can go for abroad studies without giving GRE.
This is one question. The second question which talks about the GRE exam price and options to study abroad without a GRE for a master's program.
Okay. So the GRE price is in INR, it is 22,550 with the GST. That's the exam cost for GRE. And with regards to whether to take up your GRE course or not, it also depends on the program you're planning to apply, the course you're planning to choose for your master degree. And if there is a requirement of you showcasing your talent, how you can stand out from the other student profiles, then I would strongly recommend that you please ensure that you take this GRE course and GRE exam, so that this GRE exams is also about your critical thinking, your aptitude. So, the admission officer will be able to understand and evaluate based on that. So I would always recommend that you should be able to take the GRE exam.
I see a particular message on chat which says, yes, you can go without GRE score for masters based upon your IELTS and work experience. Let's understand. Let's go deeper into this particular question. Always remember, a competitive, good master's program will definitely require a GRE. Plus, it would require an English competence exam, which would be a TOEFL or an IELTS. If you're applying to the US, then a TOEFL is a much more preferred examination as compared to an IELTS. It is only a low-rung college, a college that you should not even be studying in, which would just require a TOEFL or an IELTS. A GRE is a prime requirement for any program which is a good program. There's a very good question here by Williams, who says, how is one's competence in research supposed to be judged from a good GRE performance? These are two different baskets, actually. When you are taking admission into a master's program, then your abilities to do research are definitely valued a lot. But the problem is that filtering happens at various stages. When a college receives a lot of applications, they will reject a lot of applications which have a low GRE score and a low GPA. And whatever number of applications remain, they will go deeply into those applications and try to understand what all competencies this student has. So I agree, competence in research is very valued. At the same time, a good GRE score would actually make you eligible to get checked for your competence in research. Otherwise, if the GRE score is very low, then admission committee officials may not even look at the rest of your application, which mentions that you've got competence in research. Another question out here is, how much impact does a GRE score have on potential scholarship? Also, what would be an ideal GRE score to get a scholarship? Always remember, GRE score is like a stamp which you end up getting on your forehead when you apply in the Western world for a master's program. And a GRE score not only decides your admission, it also decides scholarships. It also decides your placement as to which all subjects you can possibly end up getting. There are a lot of companies in the world which at the time of the recruitment, at the time of placement, will actually ask you for your GRE score, and a valid GRE score, only then they would start considering you. So GRE is actually a reflection of your potential, not only for getting admission into a master's program, but it is also something which measures your ability to handle anything in the world, a career probably. Sapna has written that actually lots of high-ranking masters are now removing GRE requirements, including where I did my master's. So let's understand this. Because of the pandemic and because of the problems in taking a GRE or a GMAT or an IELTS or a TOEFL, during that period when the pandemic was happening, a lot of colleges had gone in for doing a relaxation, and they said that you can apply to us without a GRE and a TOEFL score. But they did not say that we are blind. They said GRE is optional. You can apply without a GRE also, and you can apply with a GRE also. But they did not mention the technical term GRE blind or test blind, as we call it. A test blind college is the college which says it doesn't matter whether you take the test or not. So none of the colleges is saying that whether you take the test or not, it doesn't matter to us. When you as an international student apply to a particular college, and that too you definitely apply to a good college and a good program, then you have to take care that you do not leave any stone unturned. You need to get the best scores possible on various things, and you need to prepare a great application so that nobody says no to you for admission and for scholarships. GRE is one of those stars on your labels which you can end up getting if you end up scoring high. So please do not get misled by an article which says that there's a particular university which is great, but it says you can apply to us without GRE. Try looking at the whole interview, read the whole article. The article will nowhere say that we do not consider the GRE scores. That would mean they are GRE blind. No university is GRE blind. But then yes, There are hopeless universities which cannot even fill up the students' seats in their batches. Such a particular university would not require GRE, would not even require an IELTS or a TOEFL or anything. They just require your money. That's it. So always remember, good colleges, good programs would be more fussy, and they would require good GRE scores, good TOEFL scores, good applications, good everything, and good students. And if a university is not fussy, you should not be going there in the first place. Then it's better to do a program from here in India. There are lots of good colleges here as well. But even here, in order to get into a good program, you'll have to prove your competence. And GRE is a way of proving your competence as such. Somebody asked about the GRE mentor training program. Okay. When you create an account with us on gre.org, then you will be getting details about the GRE mentor training program. Please do that. Please create an account with us on our website and you will see all the details there. Don't worry. Somebody says, I was thinking of giving GRE from home. What are the things that I should be watchful about? Okay. You'll have to take care that when you take an examination from home, then there are certain requirements which have to be met. You will have to meet all of those requirements. So it is better to know what those requirements are. What kind of pen and paper can you use while you're giving the examination? What kind of a room are you going to use? What kind of a computer are you going to use? What software programs are already there on the computer or not? Is your room qualified to be a room where you can take the examination? But apart from these strict instructions, at the same time, always remember, you will always be more mentally comfortable taking the GRE in your own home instead of going to a center and taking it. Because the value of both test taken at home and test taken at the center is the same, and the test remains the same, always prefer taking the GRE at home. Samuel has asked, how many universities can you send your new GRE scores to? Shruti, Ramya, the stage is all yours for this question.
Yes, Samuel, you can, the first 4 universities would be free of cost to submit your score reports. After that, there will be a cost of $30. So you can send as many as possible, but the first 4 universities will be free of cost.
Kritika, you already have my contact details. You can possibly send me a message. I'll share a vocabulary list which I use with my students. It works wonders, and it contains a set of words which a student definitely should know. Only then they will be able to score higher on their verbal portion. It's a list which has got 99 pages. I normally recommend students to cover 2 pages continuously every day, and this does wonders. There's a long procedure which gives instructions about how to use that particular word list. I can share it with you, don't worry. Williams has asked for the qualitative section of the GRE. How is one expected to know all the words in dictionary? You're not expected to know all the words in dictionary. Nobody can know all the words in dictionary, but there's a certain mandatory list of words which you need to know. Only then you will be able to crack the questions of reading comprehension, sentence completions, etc. So, but the higher your vocabulary, the better your vocabulary, the greater chance you will have of getting a better score and understanding the questions and cracking the question in the right manner. Okay, I think that takes care of all the questions which have been asked. If you still have a question, you can get in touch with us. You can get in touch with Ramya. You've been given the contact details for Galvanize. You can get in touch with me. You can get in touch with Shruti. We're all there to help you out. Our help does not get over with this particular session. After the session also, if you have a question which is troubling you, please get in touch with us.
Sure.
There are a lot of questions about profile evaluation. There is a particular link which has been provided by Ramya. You can possibly click upon that particular link and you can get a free profile evaluation done.
Absolutely, sir. So even for students whom we could not answer due to the short of time, I would request you to fill in the form so that we can get in touch with you personally on one-to-one basis and, whatever additional doubts you have, you can get it cleared through the profile evaluation. So with that, as we are nearing to the end of the session, I would also like to announce the quiz winner. We have a winner with us today, and he's Akash. Congratulations, Akash, for winning the quiz. And we will get in touch with you by after the session is over to help you get more details about how we can, take it forward with the freebie that we have for you. And as we are coming to the end of the session, I would also like to take this opportunity and thank sir for being with us for an amazing session out there. And we believe and we hope that we will be coming up with many more such sessions with the ETS out there. And I would request students also to be a part of our WhatsApp community group, so that anytime we have any such amazing sessions like this, you won't miss out, and you will be there, and we would be there to guide you as well. So once again, thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
thank you, students. Thank you, Shruti, for helping us today for the whole, session that we had with ETS. Thank you once again, everyone. And don't miss in to fill in the profile evaluation form. And sir, would you like to end the session with a couple of words from your end?
See, the basic purpose of this session was to make you question. It was to make you ask the right questions. So these 3 contact details are mentioned here: the website, the phone number, and the email ID which has been provided here. If you have a new question, if there's a new thing which you come across and you would like more details about that, please get in touch with us, and we are going to help you. And we'll be there in this whole journey with you, whether it is GRE preparation, whether it is information about GRE, conduct of the GRE, later on filling up your applications, or at any stage, wherever you require help, we are there for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. All the very best. Feel free to get in touch with us. We would be really glad and excited to help you out there. Thank you once again, everyone.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.